All right. Tonight, I have felt so inspired to read a story that in my past I have been shown, found, and whatever else. It is by no means my creation, but is one that has inspired me through the years. That being said, this is a story of the wolf and the raven. For those that you're watching this, I'm very animated by nature. I have a tattoo of this entire tale, and I will try and depict it as much as possible. I'll point to things, I'll do whatever I can. It's only a quarter sleeve, so those of you who are not watching, you're not missing out on much. So, this is what inspired me to get this tattoo over the years, and this is the wolf and the raven. It is said that long ago, when the mists covered the world and all creatures lived in harmony, none hunting each other, there lived a beautiful raven and a strong, powerful wolf. The raven would come out each night and soar in the moonlight because she liked the way the reflection played on her dark wings. The wolf would roam at night because he liked the smells of the forest, feeling comfort in its wet moss and the scent of dry pines. One night, as he was roaming, a shadow passed overhead, and looking up, the wolf saw the most beautiful sight he'd ever seen in years. A beautiful black bird was soaring back and forth across the moon. The raven felt eyes watching her from below and looked down into the adoring eyes of the wolf. Now that you're watching, I'll just show you really quick. The depiction here is obviously the raven on top. Sorry, I can do this right. The raven's body overlooking the mountain and the wolf running through the forest here on both sides of the raven. So both sides of the wolf over the moon. Intrigued, the raven flew down to where the wolf stood on a cliff, just out of the woods, and landed on the ground beside him. "I am called the Raven," she said in her melodious voice. And for everyone involved, I do not have a melodious voice. It doesn't matter what you see or hear, it's not great. "I am called the Wolf," the wolf said in his deep, velvety voice. Now, for all of you listening or watching, I wish I had a velvety voice. I do not. Having introduced themselves, they frolicked and played all that night, only heading home when the light began to paint the sky. Which again, in this depiction, is the light painting the sky through the crescent moon and the sun rising. The sun rising and moon set on the playground of the wolf and the raven. Night after night they met. First, they became friends. Then they fell deeply in love. The wolf would dreamily talk of roaming the forest at night and how wonderful the smells were and how many night creatures he had met hidden in the trees. So, vision is just this melodious, calming, happy time meeting new creatures that are hidden to him and everybody else in sight in this amazing subterranean, if not terranean, world that no one's ever seen before. The raven would whisper in rapt tones about the freedom she felt when she soared across the sky, how beautiful the moonlight was when it shined on the water and on her wings. She's telling how freeing it is to let go of literally everything earthly in an almost literal sense, and saying only the above matters. The below reflects those things. So flying over oceans and lakes and fjords, you get the reflection of the raven's wings, and it's only because the moon and the water, but there's nothing in between those two things, except for the raven. Finally, a day came when the wolf asked the raven to stay with him always and roam the forest. He said that if she truly loved him, she would give up her wings, turn her back to the skies, and come with him. Well, the raven, with tears in her eyes, said if he loved her, he would grow wings, leave the forest behind, and soar the skies with her. They stared at each other for a long time, both thinking of a life with and without each other, and what they loved the most about their current state of life. And each began to cry, for they knew they could not give up what made them who they were to follow the other. For in doing so, they would become someone else. They spent the rest of the night cuddled together in silence. And when the sun began to paint the sky, they looked one last time into each other, and the wolf turned to the forest, and the raven took to the skies. And that is why on a clear night sky, when the moon is full, you'll hear the mournful call of the wolf and the answering call of the raven. Thus showing that while there will always be love in your heart and everything you can do, you cannot change who you are for someone else. And as however you want to look at it as it is better to find someone that accepts you for who you are for yourselves and not who they think you could be with them. If you are strong enough to roam alone in the forest or fly alone at night, you should be strong enough to hold out until someone can catch your pace. And you should never change your nature for another person.